Have you ever had a negative online review? As good as you are, as good as you may be, at some point in time, someone will go on and they'll say something legit or non-legit about you online. So what do? How do you respond to that? And there's so much conversation in our industry about how to respond to that. So here's what we do, and it's worked pretty well for us. A couple steps. Number one is this: do respond, but not right away. Now I know some companies say, hey, don't respond at all. Just leave it out there. There's nothing you can do. Once it's there, leave it alone, let it die, don't respond. And this is kind of their thinking behind that, is this: never argue with a fool. People might not know the difference, right? And I get that. You don't want to enter into an argument online with this individual who came in and said these other things, said these things about you. Another quote that I hear these people say is, entertain a clown and you become part of the circus, right? Don't do it. They say don't step into it. I kind of disagree with that, because I think you need to be proactive in addressing these things. Now, the reason I said don't do it right away is because when you first see that online review, what happens to all of us? It happens to me. You get hot, you get angry, you get mad, you think that's so illegitimate, and you get angry, and the temptation is to go in and respond right away without thoughtfully thinking through how you're going to respond, and you end up spouting off, and you end up becoming the clown in their circus, right? Because you enter an argument. You don't want to do that. Slow down. Try to emotionally detach yourself from the situation. Now, here's the second part of that. Recognize your audience. What I mean by this is you are not responding, think of it this way, you're not responding to that individual. That individual is not your audience. That individual is mad, he's probably already gone, fine. Your audience is cyber world. Your audience is a new prospective owner who's thinking about hiring you and who saw this review pop up. That is who your audience is. That means the way you respond to that particular negative review is going to be filtered through the eyes of your prospective client. And that's who you're concerned with as you respond. So be brief, be professional, and do not argue. Don't get into an argument online. You will lose if you start arguing it. You want to be brief, you want to be professional. Let me give you an example of a couple negative online reviews. I know, hard to believe, but we've had them as well, that we've responded to. Now, this may be hard to read, so I'll read it quickly here. This is a 1-star review that popped up on Google. It said, very poor communication. If you want to call within the same day, forget about it. We tried over and over to get a hold of Jessica, who's the rent manager, and for some reason, I could not get a hold of her, and I couldn't get a call back until late charges were imposed. Then all of a sudden, I get someone coming to my door, ready to collect the rent and wanting money ASAP. That's probably true. We're pretty quick on that. When finally getting in touch with Jessica, I bring up trying to get in contact with her, and she says it's your responsibility to get a hold of me. Yeah, it's kind of true. They're probably too. How can I if you don't call back in a timely manner? We do call back in a timely manner. Jessica sure called once late fees had occurred and didn't even work with me on reducing the late fees, in which case I would have avoided any late fees if Jessica would have just called and returned my phone call the next day or two after I got a hold of that. All right. Well, what do we respond? Here's my response. First of all, pretty short, isn't it? I'm sorry you had this bad experience with us. We are required to enforce the late fee process outlined in your lease agreement. We do our best to respond to calls as quickly as possible, and if we didn't respond in this instance, I apologize. Marc Cunningham, President. Now, am I even hardly addressing his things? No, because who's my audience? My audience is the new prospective owner who may hire us. Short, brief, I didn't take offense at his stuff. I didn't even really address his stuff. I just pushed through it. Let me give you another example. Kind of another long one. I'll quickly read it because this is kind of a fun one. I rent a house that just had Grace Management contact take over by the Grace Management team. First, they treated my disabled 65-year-old mother like crap, making her cry because they said she was not disabled. I don't think we probably did that. And that the other disabled tenants were able to pay by the 3rd of every month instead of the 5th that we've been paying for over a year. Second, it's been 6 months and we still have to drive 15 minutes to pay in person because they still haven't put us online for payments yet. Third, I haven't had one water bill invoice sent to me by mail or email, and they expect me to pay the water bill on the 4th without knowing what's due. Fourth, they will not respond to any emails for 6 months now, and they lie, telling me that sometimes their emails don't get sent out. They're horrible business people. I feel that McDonald's could have resolved the situation. I like that. That's pretty sharp, right? McDonald's could have done a better job. Resolve these issues to perform better business, but instead they point fingers and lie. So this owner hired us to take over his crazy tenant. Obviously this tenant is crazy, goes online and says these nutty things. Well, gosh, what do we do in this instance? Here's my reply. Although we try our best to work with all residents, sometimes we are not successful in making everyone happy. I take all feedback seriously, and I've personally looked into these issues and spoken by phone to the offended resident, because I called the guy and he was kind of nuts. I'm sorry for any errors or mistakes we have made that have caused undue stress. That's it. Straightforward. Easy. Now here's the kicker. I love this. A few months later, we ended up evicting this tenant. So I updated it because there were some circumstances around the eviction. So I updated my response on 11/16. Update. Tenant was evicted for operating a marijuana grow facility in the property. Now we look like heroes, right? Now that prospective owner who's reading this can hopefully see the craziness of the tenant, that we got rid of them. Let me show you one more real fast. I had some trouble with the property manager. I expressed myself and the experience I had. I received a call from the owner himself, that'd be me, apologizing for the experience I had and offered to fix the problem. So this is a case where we dropped the ball. We really dropped the ball in this one. So I called and apologized. And then they said this. Now, things happen and I get that. But what makes a company great is owning up to the mistakes and making things right. Thanks, Mark. Now this is a 4.5-star review. Why would they do this? They went back after I called them and they changed their 1-star review to a 4.5-star review. Does that make us look good? Yeah, because we dropped the ball. And here's my response. We appreciate your flexibility and understanding. We absolutely make mistakes, but when we do, we try to correct as quickly and fairly. We appreciate you as a resident. That's a good way to respond to these things. So when you get these negative reviews, number 1, respond. Number 2, make sure that the way you're responding is going to be for the new audience, not the person. Don't argue, and be professional, be prompt, be courteous in these things. That will make your reviews go up. It will help you out. It will draw in those new owners and make your business all around better.